Donald Trump, a man known for his controversial statements and actions, has once again sparked a firestorm of debate. This time, he's turning his attention to Canada, not with praise or diplomacy, but by calling it the 51st state. Is he trolling Canada? Or is there more to this than meets the eye? What's the true meaning behind Trump's comment, and how is it being received by our northern neighbors? Donald Trump has long been known for his unfiltered remarks, often making bold and sweeping statements that catch attention. Whether it's his stance on immigration, his economic policies, or his relationships with foreign nations, his words often become a topic of conversation. One of his most recent comments, calling Canada the 51st state, has raised eyebrows across North America, particularly in Canada. Was this just a throwaway comment, or was there a deeper political message embedded within it? To understand this, we need to unpack the meaning behind the remark and how it fits into the broader context of US-Canada relations. Trump's relationship with Canada has always been complex. As President of the United States, his administration took a somewhat contentious stance towards Canada, often focusing on trade, defense, and immigration policies. Trump's America First mantra led to various changes in the North American trade landscape, including the renegotiation of NAFTA, which was replaced with the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. While the agreement helped maintain strong economic ties, Trump's imposition of tariffs on Canadian goods, particularly steel and aluminum, created tension between the two countries. The trade disputes, coupled with Trump's unpredictable behavior on the world stage, set the tone for how the two countries interacted throughout his presidency. Many Canadians were put off by Trump's disregard for diplomatic niceties and his frequent dismissal of international norms. In this light, the 51st state comment seems to follow a pattern of Trump's tendency to blur lines between diplomacy, nationalism, and provocation. But is the remark a true reflection of his beliefs about Canada, or is it more about stirring up controversy for political gain? The term 51st state is not a new one in American political discourse. It has historically been used to describe regions or territories that are considered to be in the orbit of U.S. influence, but have not yet attained statehood. The most obvious example of this is Puerto Rico, which has been discussed as a potential 51st state for decades. Washington, D.C. also has frequently been considered for statehood, given its large population and its residents' lack of full voting rights in Congress. So, what does it mean when Trump uses the term in reference to Canada? On one hand, it could be seen as a reflection of the strong political and economic ties that the two countries share. The US and Canada have the longest undefended border in the world, and they have been close allies in terms of trade, defense, and diplomacy for more than a century. Canada is the US's largest trading partner, with billions of dollars exchanged across the border each day. The two countries are also closely aligned militarily as members of NATO, and they share significant cultural and historical ties. In this sense, Trump might be emphasizing the closeness between the US and Canada, suggesting that the two countries are so intertwined that Canada might as well be part of the US. Trump's rhetoric has long focused on promoting the interests of the US, and it is possible that his 51st state remark was meant to suggest that Canada is aligned with US policies and interests to such an extent that it could easily be included as part of the US federal system. From this perspective, Trump might be highlighting how the two countries collaborate so seamlessly in areas like trade, border security, and even military matters. Canada's alignment with U.S. economic policies, such as NAFTA, and its role as an ally in global conflicts, such as the war on terror, might contribute to the idea that Canada functions almost like a de facto part of the U.S. However, this interpretation could also be seen as problematic. By calling Canada the 51st state, Trump may unintentionally be dismissing the importance of Canadian sovereignty. While the US and Canada are close allies, Canada has its own political system, cultural identity, and international presence. For many Canadians, the suggestion that their country could become part of the US would be deeply offensive. Canada has long valued its independence and its position as a middle power on the world stage. The idea of being reduced to another US state, subject to the whims of Washington, D.C., would be anathema to the Canadian sense of national identity. Historically, the relationship between the US and Canada has been one of mutual respect, but it has not been without friction. The War of 1812, for example, was fought between the US and the British Empire, which controlled Canada at the time. Though the war did not result in any significant territorial changes, it left a lasting legacy in Canada, where the idea of American expansionism is still viewed with caution. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, Canada fought to establish its independence and maintain its sovereignty. The Statute of Westminster in 1931 granted Canada full control over its foreign policy, and the patriation of the Canadian Constitution in 1982 made Canada's legal and political independence official. Trump's remark then could be seen as an affront to that that hard-won sovereignty. It implies that Canada is so closely tied to the US that it might as well be subsumed into the larger American system. For Canada, the response to Trump's remark was swift and multifaceted. Many Canadians found the comment offensive, interpreting it as an attack on the country's sovereignty. The reaction was particularly strong among political leaders and citizens who value Canada's independence and global standing. Some Canadian politicians, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, were quick to downplay the significance of the remark. Though Trudeau has historically had a somewhat strained relationship with Trump, his government has often emphasized the importance of Canada's sovereignty and its commitment to maintaining positive relations with the US without compromising its autonomy. On the other hand, some Canadians took the remark with a grain of salt, dismissing it as yet another one of Trump's playful jabs. In a way, this interpretation allows the comment to be viewed less as a political statement and more as a reflection of Trump's penchant for controversy. Whether or not Trump truly believes that Canada should become the 51st state, the remark was likely meant to be provocative, and many Canadians chose to brush it off as such. As we look ahead, it remains to be seen whether Trump's remark will have any lasting impact on US-Canada relations. While the two countries have their differences, they continue to share strong economic, political, and cultural ties. It's possible that the 51st state comment will fade from the headlines in time, but it could also serve as a reminder of the complex dynamics that exist between the US and its northern neighbor. In the end, whether Trump was trolling Canada or making a serious political statement is open to interpretation. For many, the comment underscores the ongoing tension between the US and Canada as well as the complicated nature of their relationship. While the remark may have been intended to provoke, it also highlights the deep-rooted connection between the two nations, one that transcends political leadership and is woven into the fabric of North American history.